The Inn at the End of Things is an Acorn Arts and Entertainment podcast, independently produced by a small group of creators in Southeast Michigan. Since we run the show ad-free, we rely entirely on support from listeners like you to keep the Inn's hearth fire burning through the night. You can support us and receive bonus content with a one-time donation at www.acornartsandentertainment.com/The Inn, or by joining the Hall of Patrons within our Patreon community. Even the price of a cup of coffee goes a long way to keeping the lights on for our little inn. As folktale enthusiasts instead of academics, this is your friendly reminder that our folk and fairy tales come from the older, grimmer end of the woods, and can contain material not suitable for all audiences, so listener discretion is advised. And recommended for your 5-star stay with us, the inn is best experienced somewhere cozy with a good blanket. Thanks so much for your support, and welcome. Pilgrim, come in and welcome. Dodging through the drops to make your way back to the inn at the end of things. Nothing like the first spitting rains of spring to get us all scurrying inside. I see that the sleet still has to make its mind up whether it wants to be snow or rain yet. Arlyn, we'll need another robe and slippers from the laundry. This storm shows no sign of letting up.
One robe from the drying room coming right up.
Not to worry. We'll get your hair dry and a cup of steaming tomato soup in those hands in no time. Here, you just lean on me and get those boots off.
Your slippers, Wanderer? I believe these look to be your size. I'll take the rice paper wrapper. Thank you. Don't you look the part? A few stories under that hood, eh?
Time enough for tales later. Soup and snugglies first.
I'll be back with a robe that'll take 10 miles off that road you just slogged through.
No staring at Arlyn's arm now. Bit of an incident as a child, and the swan wing is a permanent result. No need to feel bad. She just doesn't like it when people stare. Arlyn's our head laundress. She could get a bit carried away with the gossip while folding. She does love to spin a yarn and drop a spindle if you give her half a chance. Now then, I like the cut of that jib, Pilgrim. Few can come in out of the hi-ho and the wind and the rain looking better than when they stepped in. Look at you defying the odds and making it look easy. But that's enough odds for one day, don't you think? There's that robe now. Thank you, Arlyn.
Here's for your hair. Of course, the towels are fresh from the dryer. Still nice and toasty.
Arlyn, will you bring our guest to the ballroom on the 4th floor? I know you still need to grab the last of the tablecloths from the Winter Regency Gala.
Those Illurians sure know how to put it away.
Never get into a bet with an Illurian, my dear. In fact, it's best to avoid all wagers and gambles with Illurians, especially ones that involve contracts of any kind. And perhaps best to keep your true name to yourself. Always good to be on the safe side with the Fae. Keep polite as you please, and be sure to keep both eyes open. Arlyn, if you see the Duchess while you're up there, please say hello from me, and thank her for that shortbread recipe. Cook is already experimenting away for tea tomorrow.
Of course. Let me just get my cart for the last of those cloths, and we'll see if there's any of those fancy bites left about. My sister outdid herself.
She certainly did, and we've already run out of room for leftovers. Pilgrim, you are more than welcome to whatever canapes you can scrounge up. Enjoy the view from the windows. Should be a sight, even in this rain.
Come on. Have you ever been to the 4th floor before? Oh, well, it's a first time for everything. Fair warning, it's for folk from other places, you know. The in-between places. The Irrational Realms. The other universes. The topsy-turvies. Don't worry, you're safe and sound. There's nothing to be scared of while you're here. That's the deal the innkeeper strikes with all those who stay under this roof. But it can be a little unnerving if normal's what you're used to. Here we are. Watch your head, and don't mind the flutterbys. They're harmless. It's just a little further down the hall. That broom closet door. 4th door on the right and straight on till morning. Ah, yes. The floor can get a little tricky, but you can always float if you need to. Just push off the wall there. That's it. Oh, you're great for a first-timer. Here, I'll join you. Take a deep breath in. Fill your lungs up all the way. And now we blow out. And float. It's not a race. Well, go on. It's your first time. I can't blame you. Deep breath in. And push out. In. And out. Look at you go. And now you're a pro. Doing loop-de-loops on your first try. And free as a bird in the air. Light as a feather altogether. I love coming up here. Letting my wing free. Being able to soar again. It's heaven. All right. Back to gravity for a moment. Here's the door. If you'll just tickle the doorknob, right under the knob, that's it. I'll just push those brooms over to the side. Voila! You see that little red door hidden in the back with the golden handle? Go on. Give that a push. And you tell me if that isn't the most beautiful ballroom you've ever seen. Isn't it something? I think it's the windows. Or maybe the chandeliers and the windows. It feels like being in a church. So quiet and sparkly. You can feel the memory echoing off the walls. Fragments of days of dancing, of music, of laughter, the lights. All the little reasons we find to come together and celebrate each other. Birthdays and balls and graduations and weddings and funerals and unions and reunions, all lingering in the corners, never quite swept away. They're all here. Oh, look. They left the tablecloths all nicely piled up in that corner. So considerate. Forest green and silver was a nice touch for the gala, don't you think? Very tasteful, I'm sure. You should see the place with the lights on and the bandshell all lit up. Just a vision with the drapes back and the moonlight coming in through those crystal windows. It's enough to catch your breath. But I also think it's nice like this, with nothing but the candle still winking away. You can really catch the glitter in the crystal. Why don't you check over by the bar to see if they left any of those little bites behind? Illurians are vegetarians, but it can be quite delicious if you like honey.
My, what have we here? Arlyn Swankin, you must introduce me to your most intriguing friend.
Duchess, you shouldn't go around popping out at people like that.
My darling girl, I am a Grand Duchess of the ancient Von Dallion line. I don't pop anything but champagne.
Oh, don't let her fool you. She's a ghost. She don't drink champagne no more.
Oh, you had to remind me. Good evening. I'm afraid you've come too late for the festivities, but as you can see, there's still plenty of food and drink to be had. The Regency Winter Gala used to be much bigger back in my day. It would go until the first rays of morning shone through those windows, and the band would play a final waltz, and all the folk would have a final dance to welcome back the sun after the long night. But alas, we are so few now, and everyone has already gone home to Underland. So it is time for the old ghosts to linger and talk of winter's past. Listen to a jolly old elf go on. It is good to meet you, Randyard. In my tongue, that name marks a searching star, a wayfarer on the long roads, a sojourner on the search for truth. I'm glad you've made it to us tonight. Help yourself to any food or drink or cheer you see before you. The hospitality of Illyria is not yet dead. Arlyn, I saw Waylon's new beard. It suits him well. Tell him I said so. He was so lost in all the bustle behind the bar, I didn't want to distract him or the lads. And be sure to give Cook and the Liume my love. You all work so hard, and tonight was exquisite.
Thank you, Your Grace. We sure did have a ball, didn't we? We do love each time you visit.
No one hosts quite like the Liume and her gracious home of the noble-hearted. My thanks, Arlyn Swankin. Now, Randir, what say you to an old story whispered on a winter's night before that grand fireplace? Isn't it just itching to be curled up in front of? Arlyn, it does get a bit drafty for the living in here. Perhaps you could grab your guest that fine wrapper and you two pull up a couple of those cozy-looking chairs in for a story. If you can spare a moment or two for the ghost of an ancient line.
Of course, Your Grace. We'd be honored.
Marvelous. Settle in close, darlings, and let that fire reach your hearts. I don't miss the cold, I'll tell you one thing. It is fun these days, getting to travel wherever you'd like, whenever you'd like, at the speed of thought. You just close your eyes and you're there. I generally opt for the tropics this time of year or a good fire realm. But I do love coming back to this room each year for the winter ball. This place is gone, you know, in the realms of the real. The old ballroom was leveled decades ago. I believe it's now a filling station with one of the best dumpling shops in the Empire tucked away in the back. Sometimes you luck out with those little shops in the back of filling stations. Best food if you know where to look. Everything changes. It is the one thing you learn after you live. The only constant is change. I just wish I could try one of those dumplings. I hear they're simply divine. Ah, well, you win some, lose some. I knew this room so well in the old days. These feet have known many a waltz on these floors. I am glad that you all keep a memory of it here. Someone should. The old ballroom, sweeping grandly from the long halls of the Elduin where the great founders of our kind first sang the songs of the Allure and found harmony with the gods. It was many ages ago, my dears. It was not my time, but my great-grandmother's time. I remember when she'd sit me down at her knee and talk to me of the old days, when she was young and the world was all changed. I was not but a little girl then. There were no lineages, no intrigues, no empire builders. Just a few families held together, hand in hand each day in a commune of song with creation. I held no titles but daughter, sister, and friend. Destinia was the only name I needed. Of course, as ever, all things change. No need to be afraid of a dark and stormy night. Reminds me of another storm many years ago, when the world was young and magic walked the earth freely, and all creatures knew each other as family. When the sky and the earth kissed each other and touched toes at night, there was only the great family. Now those were the real dancing days. Every creature on earth celebrating together as one, the waltzes that were danced in the day when animals could talk. The shindigs you simply would not believe, my darlings, not if I sat up all night and described them to you till the sun peeked in to listen. Back then, every day was a cause for celebration. Everyone had a birthday or a harvest festival or a songbird reunion or a goblin gala to attend. It really was too much. And everyone would come from miles around or celebrate where they were if they couldn't travel the miles. There was Brer Bear with his fine coat, and Brer Wolf with his keen eye, and Brer Fox with his bushy tail, and Brer Possum with his grin, and Brer Squirrel with his even bushier tail, and every creature called each other family. But there was one thing that Brer Rabbit loved above family, and that was a good joke. And that was a big problem, because Brer Rabbit would do whatever it took for a good joke. Besides, it had been a while since they last fooled him, and they'd gotten him good and he hadn't forgotten. Although, to be fair, he fooled them before that. Although that was only in return for what they'd done to him, which was, of course, only payback for what he'd done to them. And so it had gone since the dawn of time. Back and forth since that little bunny first kicked up his heels in the morning sun and laughed. No matter who started it first, Brer Rabbit was born to stir up trouble. Now all the animals had finally had enough of Brer Rabbit and had come together. And rather than play tricks to get back at him, They had simply decided to deny him any food until he apologized and atoned for his ways. He was no longer welcome at their doors. They solemnly swore together on it, quite forgetting, of course, any part they'd had in the squabble in the first place. The next day, Brer Rabbit got up and went to visit Sis Hedgehog for a good breakfast. But she only turned her prickers on him and snuggled further down into her little burrow without a word. Frowning, Brer Rabbit went next to Brer Squirrel, but with no luck, for Brer Squirrel merely shouted something unintelligible down at him and vanished into his big oak. By noon, Brer Rabbit had gone to visit all of the animals nearby in turn for a good breakfast. But one by one, they'd shut their doors in his face. Fuming to himself, Brer Rabbit turned on his big heel and followed the road back through the woods till it narrowed down into a path and followed that pathway down to where the earth and sky met. And there he found the house of the Rainmaker. He knocked loudly on the door and greeted the Rainmaker and asked after his family. The Rainmaker was glad for the company and brought Brer Rabbit in and fixed them some lunch and chatted the afternoon away. Then Brer Rabbit had a little idea go off that set his nose twitching just the right way. He asked the Rainmaker if they could set up a race between Brer Dust and Cousin Rain to see which one was the fastest. The Rainmaker growled and grumbled a bit, but by and by he agreed. Everyone knew Brer Rabbit's tricks by now, but the Rainmaker liked Brer Rabbit. No matter how heavy the storm, that little rabbit always seemed to manage to dodge his drops. It was like a friendly game between the two of them, a challenge between old friends. The more rain the Rainmaker sent, the quicker it seemed that the little bunny could move. Over the years, they had each done the other many a good turn and helped each other out of many a pretty pickle. It could be fun, the Rainmaker supposed, but still, if anyone but Brer Rabbit had asked, he would never have thought about it twice. Brer Rabbit shook him by the hand and thanked the Rainmaker. As he did, he made sure to sing out a little song about the coming race, and to sing it out nice and loud all the way home, so that everyone and their next-door neighbor heard all about it. The day of the race came, and all the animals gathered together in excitement, wearing their summer finery. Brer Possum and Brer Squirrel were further down the great road, and here was Brer Bear in his brown summer coat, and there was Brer Wolf, a glass in his eye so that he could see the race better. And there was Brer Fox, shaking hands with all his neighbors, and there was every kind of animal gathered together to watch the great race between Dust and Rain. Families settled down to the most delicious picnics they could bring together, and bets flew back and forth, for everyone had an opinion on who would win. The sky went dark, and it seemed as if the sun had stopped and time itself stood on its head. Brer Bear howled, Brer Wolf growled, and Brer Possum laughed nervously while all the clocks stopped. A cloud emerged right over the big road and dropped down little by little, just like a fine pearl gray carriage. Out stepped Cousin Rain to great cheers from all the spectators, followed closely by Uncle Wind. Finally, the Rainmaker himself stepped out from behind the wheel of the cloud, waving his hands to all as they applauded the beginning of the great race. The Rainmaker waved a fine silk handkerchief like a flag, and suddenly there was a great hush across the land. Wind stepped up, carrying a giant bellows with him, and he pumped away once, twice, 3 times, and the Rainmaker's handkerchief dropped, and the race was on. Brer Dust whirled up from the road, roaring from the rush of the bellows, and he swirled down in a frenzy. He leapt ahead, tearing away in his rush to get a good start. But oh, I have seen that you've already guessed, my darlings. In his haste, Brer Dust covered all of the animals as he passed. There was poor Brer Bear, turned into an enormous powder puff, and poor Brer Wolf couldn't see out of his glass with all the dust in his eyes. Every animal across the road coughed and hacked away as Brer Dust whipped down the road. But then there was worse to come, as the rain, close on those dusty heels, poured down the road, leaving them all drenched and covered in heavy, wet, thick mud. They were up to their waists in the sticky stuff. They could barely move a muscle. And they weren't the only ones either. Not a quarter mile down the great road, Cousin Rain and Brer Dust were so tangled up that you couldn't tell where the road began and they ended. The Rainmaker was doing his best to unstick them, but as he did so, old Uncle Sun came out and that mud baked quick and dry and brick hard. Everyone was stuck tight where they stood, weighed down with the hardened muck for miles. Everyone, except for one. Oh, darlings, you already know which one. Tiptoeing his way daintily between the puddles, as pretty as you please, whistling a pleasant little tune from underneath the umbrella held at an impossibly jaunty angle. Brer Rabbit skipped gently around the mud-soaked animals fuming around him. "Afternoon," he said, bowing with a cheeky grin. "Seems like a fine day for a race. Mighty odd weather we seem to be having." He tickled Brer Fox's chin with the tip of his umbrella and chuckled as the fox struggled against the hard mud baking away in the sun. "Looks like a beautiful picnic you've got there, Brer Fox. Sure does seem a shame to let it go to waste." And with a twinkle in his eye, Brer Rabbit went and ate everyone's picnic lunch right in front of them. And oh, how he took his time about it. And he slurped and slopped their feasts up right before their very eyes with as much gusto as he could manage. It was nearly an hour later when the Rainmaker was able to untangle Brer Dust and Cousin Rain from each other. A sorry and soggy mess. When they came across the big hill and saw the chaos of all the animals crying and stuck to the ground, with Brer Rabbit wiping the last few crumbs from his lips with a napkin, the Rainmaker got very quiet. And all the animals saw it and felt it and instantly fell silent. Brer Rabbit froze, staring the Rainmaker in the eye, surrounded by empty plates. Then he wiped his mouth, blew out a big kiss, and dashed away with all his might. And the Rainmaker let out a great laugh. He laughed and nearly fell over, chuckling so hard. He knew he shouldn't have, but he just couldn't help himself. Then he counted to 3 to give Brer Rabbit his customary head start, and turned to Rain. Together, they washed all the animals clean and set Brer Dust back to the road where he settled down. And don't you know, my dears, that's when the real race began. He's been running ever since that time. Or was it the time before that? Or perhaps it was the time after. Who can remember? Oh, Brer Rabbit, Prince of Capers and King of Escapers. May you always stay 2 steps ahead and ever keep the Rainmaker laughing. And that, my darlings, as they say, is that. My grandmother told me that one long ago. The ancient stories are the best ones for thunderstorms, I always say. What do you think?
I think the Rainmaker is trash for letting the rabbit get away with everyone's picnic.
Yes, I suppose that's fair. But of course, you see, there was the incident before that with the tar baby that Brer Rabbit was still smarting over. And then the time before that,
Yes,
when he'd gotten
I
them
get
to...
they're in a constant battle of wits and whatnot, but it's silly. Why can't that Rainmaker fellow just sit them down and get them to stop?
My darling Arlyn, if you ever meet him, do ask and let the rest of us know the answer. The gods do not walk among us any longer. It was so in my grandmother's time, but not in mine or in yours. Perhaps they will in the next age. Who knows? This is an era of self-determination, of following one's own star according to one's own Destinia.
Right, but who's behind the star?
I have faith in that which guides the stars, but I cannot speak for everyone. That would be incredibly rude. Still, I hold that we make our own steps along the road. No one forces us down it.
What if you got someone placing bets on the road with your Destinia?
Ah, but there it is, darling. We cannot always choose our road, but we can choose how we meet it. While everyone was scrambling and slipping and sticking and pointing fingers and shouting and blaming Brer Rabbit for all of it, I would just like to ask, which one of them thought to bring an umbrella to a contest involving rain?
Well, if that isn't the most sensible thing I've heard this week. You were scaring me there with all that about destiny and gods. But that's a solid takeaway. Always take a good umbrella.
I never go anywhere without one.
It's bad luck to open an umbrella inside.
It's different when you're a ghost. Of course, you don't really need umbrellas anymore, but I do like to carry it around. It helps me remember what rain felt like. I think I remember when I hear it against the windows like this. I can almost remember. Yes, I think I liked it best when it rained in the summer, although I'm pretty sure I didn't care much for wet feet anytime. It comes and goes, you know, but you don't really miss it. I promise. Now then, Randir, I can see that you're one who dances with their own destiny. Here, Arlyn, take up that empty dance card there, on the little side table. Do you have a pen?
Will a pencil work?
Like the charm you are, dear. Now then, close your eyes and let me see. You, Randir, have very curious dance partners in your future. You may face them at different times and to different tunes, but you will know all the steps. They will come to you as naturally as breathing. First, you've already danced with danger, and you know you will again. This is nothing to fear. You have danced before, and your will is stronger each time. You will sweep danger off its feet and land with a bow. Next, you will waltz with love many, many times. Oh, you are so loved by so many. So many you know and so many you don't. You stir up string quartets in the springtime of many a heart, my darling. Now, here's abundance come following quick as you please after love, tripping over its big shoes to throw flowers at your feet, a parade for you in abundance. Next up on your dance card, the Ballet of Joy to catch you up in the little moments in between. The overture of joy that whispers out to you even when it's hardest to hear. She's waiting for you in the unexpected places. You will have to face up to fear at some point, but the good news is fear is not written to be your last dance. And at the end of the night, you will turn and she will be waiting for you there, hand extended to pull you in close. She will rock you gently in her warm arms. You will remember being a child again, your toes against her toes. You'll two-step together for the rest of the night. The song will be so familiar, and yet you'll hear it for the first time, too. And you will sway with peace, heart to heart again, under the full moon's light. It is a full dance card, Randir. There will be other foolishness along the way, and many times to get stuck in the mud. But why get stuck in the mud, darling, when you shine like the sun? Keep an umbrella handy, and don't forget to dance.
I told you she was lovely. She did my dance card after last year's ball. I still keep it in my pocket every day.
There you all are. Snug as bugs in fireside rugs. Duchess, we are so honored by you and your family's stay with us. As usual, the Winter Regency Ball was the event of the season.
You're too kind, Liume. Of course, you have shown the pinnacle of hospitality for us Illurians. We are forever indebted to you and your remarkable staff for keeping the ballroom alive here.
The least we could do to accommodate our guests and honor their memories. You're staying the night with us, of course. I hope you found a room to your liking among the usual lurks.
Yes! Waylon found myself and the rest of the deceased attendees a lovely belfry in your north tower. We're all very cozy, and I'm sure they've already started catching up on the latest scandals without me.
Duchess, I'm afraid it's late and I must get these linens downstairs so the boys can get to washing them. But thank you for the tale well told. I'll trade you another if you make your way down to the laundry room. Just heard a juicy little story from 2 towns over about the parson's wife that'll make your toes curl.
Anything to put off pretending to be shocked and surprised by relatives for another hour or so. As for you, Randir, good night and sleep well. And remember to watch for the times when you might need to consider an umbrella. You have quite the dance card ahead of you.
Well, I'm very glad you've gotten to meet the Duchess. From an old family, of course. One of her living great-great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren worked out a little compact to save the ballroom. Or at least, the ballroom as it once was. But where did the night run off to? Now the hour is growing late, and it's time to turn the fires down low. Your key will guide your way back to your room when you're ready. May you dance freely in your dreams, knowing your card is full with a good destiny that awaits you, the other side of gentle slumber and good rest, here at the inn at the end of things. Good night. You've been listening to The Inn at the End of Things, an Acorn Arts and Entertainment production. Tonight's tale featured performances by T. Sankara as Arlyn, the Laundress, Victoria Weatherspoon as the Duchess von Dallion, and Luna Alexander as the Innkeeper. This episode was written by Luna Alexander, with production and technical support from Josie Eli Herman, Michael Allen Herman, and John Tuma. As our evening draws to a close, we'd like to pause here within our Hall of Patrons to thank the many wanderers, voyageurs, and fellow night owls who keep our hearth fires burning long into the night. Whether you're a member of our Patreon community or have donated independently, we salute you and say thanks. We couldn't do it without your support. This week's list of hallowed heroes includes many thanks to Chris Hoffman-Kraske, Ruth Needler, Brian LeDuc, Amanda Logston, Sarah McNitt, Joanna Karina Palaska, Jason Such, Patricia Tuma, John Stanford. A special thank you to our friends at the Plymouth Community Arts Council for sponsoring our first season. Thanks for supporting your local art communities. May your generosity be returned threefold.